Alright guys, Hatch coming again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The Black Ops 7 reveal officially happened last night. About a 3 or so minute trailer with some interesting insights into what multiplayer could look like for the upcoming season. Lots of reaction from the pro players to some of the movement mechanics, what the maps might potentially look like. Even players like Illy hinting about a potential return as a result of this trailer. What do you guys think in the comment section below? How similar is this game going to be to Black Ops 3? Because you know that I'm going to be talking about that. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. This is the BO7 graphic that came out yesterday, and it's going to be co-developed by Treyarch and Raven. We've seen this type of thing before. I think the bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, the most recent game, Black Ops 6, is not a great game. It's a solid game. I don't think it's a terrible game. I like what they've done in terms of the movement, but in many respects, especially the maps really, I would say, but also game-breaking issues with the title, frustrations around, certainly from a competitive perspective, the fact that Codcaster hasn't been fixed, and yeah, mainly the maps were the primary issue, I would say, with this year's game, BO7. It doesn't really feel like Treyarch were at the top of their game, and, you know, frankly, it doesn't feel like it's the same studio that it was several years ago when they made all the classic games, because, in large part, many of those top developers are not there anymore, so in many respects, it probably is a different studio. But they worked on BO6 for a rather long time. BO7 is 1 year after BO6, so it's difficult to imagine. You know, the idea was that BO6 as a game was ready for a long time before it was even released, that, you know, they had it in the pipeline ready to go. Maybe that's good, because it's given them more time to develop BO7, but I will say that, you know, there are many fans looking at this saying, well, BO6, Treyarch had plenty of time to work on that. They hadn't made a game since Cold War. That came out in 2020, right? Like, that's so many years ago at this point. And now we're expecting Treyarch to do a killer job of a back-to-back. Like, you know, there's a question of whether that's actually going to be happening or not. But arguably, if BO6 was finished very early, they've been spending a rather long time on BO7, and, you know, I think people are hoping that it's going to be an MW2, MW3 scenario, where MW2 was, you know, not a good game that Infinity Ward put together. MW3, the Sledgehammer kind of helped with, but was effectively, you know, it was a Sledgehammer game, but it was effectively MW2, the sequel, was a much better title in many respects. We're talking the recent games rather than the ones back in the day, but I think you get the point that maybe BO7 could be a bit better than we, you know, otherwise could have expected, but still, as Parasite says, Treyarch has got to redeem itself this year. So it is officially called BO7. There was some talk of what it might be. At the end of the day, that does mean that basically everything now is a Black Ops or a Modern Warfare game. MW19, Cold War, Black Ops though. Then we had Vanguard, which was a different kind of approach, but clearly didn't sell as well as they were wanting. So since then, it's been Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare, that should be a 3, but you guys get the picture. Black Ops 6, and then Black Ops 7. So, you know, that's going to be where we are today. And there was talk about it being effectively Black Ops 2.5, and that is kind of what it is based on the trailer that we're going to see here in a second. There's a co-op campaign, round-based zombies, multiplayer with what they call brand new maps. Now, I'm also hoping they bring back some of the classic maps as well, some of the BO2 maps, in the same way that in Modern Warfare 3, they brought back the OG classic 2009 MW2 maps, which I think was a good move. Now, yes, those maps were not necessarily excellent for competitive, and I think we really needed the Rio, the Vista, the 6-star at the end of the year to help the game along, but nonetheless, bringing back some of the BO2 maps that were more made with that kind of mindset in mind could be a really good idea. Grind is in this game BO6, but it's not being played by the pros, and that wasn't really a comp map back in the day, but there were plenty of BO2 maps that I think I would like to see back in. There were rumours, though, initially they were going to bring the whole suite of BO2 maps back as remasters, as they did in Modern Warfare 3. They now say there are brand new maps. I'm hoping that it's a bit of both. We get some of the old school maps remastered, because at least we know how they're going to play, and then we get some brand new maps, hopefully designed by the same devs who did Rio, 6-star, Vista a couple of years ago, like last year, Modern Warfare 3, but of course those are Sledgehammer guys that seem to be kind of taken, you know, basically picked up the ball where Treyarch left off a few years ago and have been carrying it since then in terms of map design. But BO7 is officially here. What are the players going to think about it? What are the teams going to think about it? That's a big question. This is the trailer they put together. You've got this like skinny bop synapsis looking thing, and you know, you guys know what it was like. It was Reaper, wasn't he called, in BO3, the guy with the scythe. Okay, a little bit of a different story here. It's kind of like a GI unit looking thing. Anyway, if you guys watch this video, this trailer, it's pretty fire. You'll get a lot of Black Ops 3 vibes. Certainly this bit with the butterfly. If you guys played like Black Ops 3's campaign, there's kind of a lot of callbacks to the type of stuff that we were seeing back then. You know, there's buildings that are going upside down. We're talking like Infection. You guys remember that map from Black Ops 3? I don't know. Watching this trailer, I feel like they're really trying to recapture some of the essence of Black Ops 3 as a game, which, I mean, look, I'm not saying they made it for like people who really like Black Ops 3, but you get what I'm saying, right? That there's a lot of kind of BO3 feeling elements in here to the trailer and to other things as well. I mean, okay, like obviously there's some weird gravity stuff happening, but he's upside down in this one, and you know, therefore people are talking about gravity and exo boots and this type of stuff, but we'll see what that looks like from the movement side in a second. Of course, this is a real nice throwback as well to BO1, the numbers mason, and then we've got the butterfly again running it up. So what do you guys think about obviously this isn't really much to do with the gameplay yet, it's just a general feel of the game. Like they're trying to paint a picture as to what Black Ops 7 is going to look like when compared to some of the recent titles. And if we go towards a couple of minutes time or a couple of seconds time, we'll find a bit of gameplay at the end of this. Now this is campaign gameplay, to be fair. This moment here, we see the Warzone stuff happening. I know people are talking about whether Blackout could return, and there's also this clip. Now in this clip, for these couple of seconds, you can quite clearly see that this character has effectively active camouflage, right? I mean, you look at this screenshot right here. I mean, you can see it half fading in and out. So there is a camouflage feature in the game. And this is honestly the key takeaway, I would say, from the trailer about active camo getting popped. So if you guys remember that back in the day when we used to have specialist abilities, right? This was a key feature of Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare. I mean, even kind of Advanced Warfare introduced it with some of the exo boost and stuff. I mean, that was the game that introduced, I guess, exo cloak, right? But we saw it in the other games as well. Now, look, is this going to be campaign only? Is this going to be a kill streak or something? But it's like, if you design a feature like this where we have an active camouflage feature for like campaign, then it's pretty likely that they will find a way to try and use it in multiplayer as well in some regard. Does that mean that specialists are returning? Not necessarily, but it's something to think about, because we talked about it quite a lot on the show last night, that maybe, you know, because look, nowadays we talk about the pros, whether they would GA it and all this stuff, it might be useless to even have the conversation. But the idea that the game, like, if the game had specialists and these other things, we probably would have heard about it. There would have been leaks about it, I would suggest. But still, based on people seeing this, there are people wondering, okay, maybe we're going back to the days where we used to actually have specialist abilities, and there's certain people that would really like that. And as I say, there is a real Black Ops 3 vibe around this trailer, especially when you have a look at some of the movement we're going to see. I know that there has been talk as well, like, just to quickly explain specialist, if you guys are really new, you had different characters. Each character in Black Ops 3 anyway, you could choose one of their two abilities, either their lethal ability or their tactical ability, effectively. And you know, for Spectre, the lethal ability was the Ripper, right, the knife thing that you'd have attached, and then that would like give you a commando lunge or whatever. And then also active camo, and you know, we saw that in a couple of different games. It was probably the most powerful in Infinite Warfare, really. And a couple of years later in BO4, we then had some different, you know, specialist abilities. They weren't all the same, but some of them carried over, some of them didn't. And well, you guys know the drill there. So BO3 though was set in 2065, and BO2 was set in 2025, and that's where there are questions on what the movement is going to look like. So there were some leaks about this, and according to some of the lines of like the strings of code, effectively, there are two interesting features names. One of them is a wall jump and one of them is a wall dive. So we understand that there is going to be wall running in the game. The feeling is that the movement in Black Ops 7 is going to be effectively Omni movement from BO6 with a wall running component. Maybe a double jump component as well. We'll see about that. But it does seem like, based on some of the leaks that we are seeing here, that if you are wall running a wall, there's a couple of things you can do. You can either jump off the wall, which you used to be able to do back in the day, or in addition, you could potentially wall dive off the wall. So dive off the wall, potentially even into a roll, which would be pretty wild. So look, I don't know what this is going to look or exactly be like, but There's lots of talk about the movement, you know, how Shotzzy may or may not like it and all this. And it's probably going to be somewhere between a boots on the ground game, maybe a BO6 with Omni movement, and what we saw in like BO3 with some wall running and jetpacks and all these other things. Probably jetpacks aren't going to come back in the same way, but some sort of advanced movement, wall running, wall diving, whatever, like that seems to be pretty realistic right now based on the leaks that we are seeing. So what do the pros think about it? What's the major reaction? Attach, of course, he's done it again, another year, another tweet in May, June, where he says Black Ops 7 will be 100% the best COD of all time. And this is just looking back at Attach's tenure. He said it here with Black Ops 4, right at the bottom, you guys can just about see. Black Ops 4 will be the best COD of all time, September 14th, 2018, he did that one. May, obviously, he actually just said Modern Warfare is the best COD of all time. Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and then, of course, you know, he's done it again over the last couple of years, and we fast forward to the present day. To be fair, lots of these tweets actually came out somewhat later. Attach is pretty early with it this year. The earliest he was since Modern Warfare 19, and we know how that turned out. So we'll see if that goes to plan. But Simp says insane trailer. Simp's always pretty excited about the new games, but I know that there is quite a lot of optimism around this one. Look, there's always optimism. The COD cycle, we're here again, getting excited about the new game. And like, I think at this point, I'm too cynical to be excited anymore. But I do think they're looking at this title, the things that they're trying to do and trying to achieve, the way that they've gone about the game, making it feels kind of Black Ops 3-esque in many respects. I know that lots of players are going to be happy about that. We've seen some replies as well from the likes of aBeZy. I mean, aBeZy drops the eyes emoji because, of course, recently he retired from competitive. I mean, he did the tweet here on the 23rd of May, post is long overdue, but I'm calling it a day from competitive Call of Duty. And then he did tweet out, I think, a couple of days later that, well, you know, if the game is good, I might consider maybe coming back. Even Attach said the same thing. Donny Temp, of course, on our show, he's absolutely looking to compete again the upcoming season. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of movement in that direction. And I think this tweet from aBeZy is kind of implying like, damn, if this game is good, if it's got wall running, wall diving, jetpacks, whatever, like I'm going to be back in the mix potentially, right? And maybe this is going to bring a few players back. The big question, though, of course, is on the maps, and this is going to continually be the case, and it's been the way for many years. The maps really make the game. BO6, if we were playing BO6 on Black Ops 4 maps, I think we'd be having a much better time. I do think that Specialist also added a lot. Like, we had a good discussion about it on the show, as I said, that Specialist made the game more interesting to follow, right? Like, okay, someone's got their war machine online. Someone's got their, you know, one team has Crash ready to go so they can use it to break the hill, and it's relevant for Hardpoint, for Search and Destroy, for the respawns, all this type of stuff. And we don't have Specialist anymore. I think especially Search and Destroy, it makes it far less compelling to watch. So I think there's that as well. But as Scrappy says, yeah, movement's great. Gunplay, real nice. But the maps are what makes and breaks the game at the end of the day, because, look, BO4 had Specialist, BO3 had Specialist, and sure, do they add to the game? Yeah. But even without them, when they were disabled, the game was far better than it is today, largely because of the way the maps are, in my opinion. Scrappy makes that pretty clear. Please make good maps. So this is really the question, right? These are the BO2 maps that were at least played in competitive, right? There were plenty of other BO2 maps that were not played. We're talking the likes of Overflow, Drone, Turbine, right? Like these classics. And you know, some of those maps are pretty damn good still, like Carrier, I don't know. Like, there were some maps that I had a really good time on that were never played in competitive, but these were the maps that were. Hijacked was played briefly right at the start of the game, then it got removed. Aftermath was just a Search and Destroy map, as was Express, as was Meltdown, to be fair. But the maps that were played in a lot of different game modes included the raids, the slums, the standoffs, the Yemens of the world. Now, we've seen these maps come back a few times, right? Like, obviously, we saw standoff come back in Cold War. We've seen raid come back plenty of times. Slums has come back a couple of times, and sometimes been played, sometimes not. But like, if they brought all these maps back, at least we'd have a solid base. Yemen I really like for Hardpoint as well. It's a brutally punishing map if you don't rotate, but you know, sometimes that's fair enough. So anyway, these are some of the maps that they could consider bringing back in. What are they actually going to do about it? That is a serious question, but very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below as always. And just one final thing, Method says BO7, I might be back type thing, and Scrap goes, bro, you were going to be awful. They'd be throwing me parades and selling Methods themed drinks if I had HyDra next to me. You had Scumpy. They got dead last of the biggest tournament of the year. Technically not dead last, technically top 24 out of 32, but the point still stands. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.